XR600 work on the old 96. Too many rides here. Slowly but surely, we're getting back into the XR600R. That 96 I'm building out of parts from off the shelf. And I've been going through parts and looking for the worst parts I can find out of my bunch, because I need to get them into serviceable condition and put them on the old 96. It's being put together out of a lot of different parts. The worst parts out of the bin. So I'm looking at the exhaust, and I was going to use a different super trap, one of these ones that is basically a body and a mid pipe that's all one size, the whole length of it. So it's going on the 96. Then you've got headers. We're looking for the worst of the bunch, but I also have to clean it up. I found a 650 header, which won't work well on the 600 because you've got a kickstart, and this part of the heat shield is going to interfere with that. So that's kind of out of the question. Then there's 4 different XR600 exhaust headers here. I've got one came off of XR, this was Dave's 2000. So that's a good unit, don't want to use that. Has a heat shield on it and everything. Then here's another one, looks like it's unmarked. Has a lot of off-road dirt on it. Here's another one with an adapter. The inside's pretty crusty and dirty. The outside's pretty rusty. So that's a candidate to be used. And here's one that looks about in the same shape. It's got all this crusty dirt fried onto it. These are really hard to clean because they're convoluted, but I'm certainly going to use this one. It's one of the dirtiest. I think the first thing I'm going to do is try to take this broken off screw out of there. If I can get that cleared for service, I think that's my best candidate. That broke too easy. I didn't know if I wanted to use that one or this one. It's awful hard to drill out and easy out, but we'll give it a try. Easy outs are really hard. Hardened steel, brittle. That doesn't look like it's cutting it at all. And so I don't think we're going to get that out of there. That's hard as a rock. And unfortunately, we're going to have to cut our losses short. It's not going to do the drill bit any good. And I'm not going to mess with it. Remember I said earlier, if I can get that out of there, well, there it is. I can't get it out. And so we're going to have to use our choice number 2, which I may as well clean up the threads while I got the tap out. I'll have to remove this adapter from the end of it. We're taking a look at air boxes. I'm going to use the OEM air box, of course, a later model unit that has had some holes drilled in it for the Baja Designs rectifier. It's got some damage here. Every XR600 you look at is going to have this hold down for the master cylinder reservoir busted out. Because all the kickstarting, you just keep bumping that. And here's one I've even fixed. with some strengthening aluminum and riveted it together, straightened out, and it wasn't long after kicking it over that I noticed it's bent again. It's a nice clean box. One thing about the later years of the XR is they have a strengthening rod in the center here, which makes it a little harder to put your air filter in. And they also had another door here. Normally your side cover makes a seal, but they included a stopper here so that you could put in a piece of plastic that completely closed this off, and then your side cover goes on and still makes a seal there. Just like extra dirt protection, I guess. And I don't really like that. I'm not running that on any of my bikes. I'm not running that kind of airbox. Here's the kind of xr600 airbox you're normally gonna find. This one probably came off of a 95. Looks a little hard and disshaped out here. Dirty. It has an air filter in it that looks better than the one in the 2000. I'll probably try to use that, or I might have to buy an air filter. This one looks pretty good. I might be able to clean that up and use it. So you see, it doesn't have the extra reinforcement bar here that was on that other one. No rivets back here. It's had a hole drilled in it where somebody ran something through there. And a couple holes here on the side where they ran their Baja Designs rectifier. Seems old and a little out of shape, but you look at it there and that's out of shape. But it is a 600. I'm using my worst parts, and this one's pretty bad. It's got the bent over holder down. It's part of the clamp system for the airbox's rubber grommet to go together, but they're using this tag along bracket here to hold that, and they just bend. So that's your XR600. And being that it's such a crappy dirty and it seems to be old and stiff, you go back to and start looking at the 2000. Well, that's not near as old and stiff, so I would want to keep that. But the whole difference is, if you take a look at this, you've also got the crankcase breather system. Now normally on an XR600, you're going to find that it's just crankcase breather out into the open air. But these ones with the oil separator have a hose that takes the crankcase vent, runs it into an oil separator, which is strapped to the frame, the down tube of the frame, and then it runs into the airbox inside the air cleaner. I really hate that. I'm not running that on any bikes, and it's only the 98, 99, and 2000 XR600 that has this, even if it's a dirt bike, and only if it's the California model. Sold in California. This is kind of like, it's not really a smog pump or anything involved, but it's a bit of air quality control that they came up with, that Honda had to work something out. Isn't going to take so much work to put it into service. A couple little holes to fill, and I can use this breather system. So this is it. There's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to use the 2000. It's got an air cleaner too, but that's a crispy air cleaner. Go through my parts and look for the stuff I need on that 96. And what I've found is oil lines I'm going to use. Here we have the oil lines from off of the 91 Tracker project. Their integrity is good. That guy who had that bike painted these black. That makes them the worst. But even the seals on them look to be in good shape. I just need to clean them a little. Then I'd be able to use them. Won't take much work, and I can put those on the bike. We also have found a brake pedal to use, and the related brake parts necessary to install it. I'm using this off of my old 1991 because it's so worn. It's still serviceable. It never bothered me, but when I had the chance, I put on one that wasn't so worn out. It's probably been bent before too, so we'll have to take a look at that when it goes on. But we can put that into service, that's fine. So I've got my work cut out for me, just cleaning stuff up before I can even put it on the bike. But that's the next round. We'll get the carburetor on, air box in, exhaust pipe on this bike. Next, after that, I think we'll do the brakes, but let's just see how far we can get with these parts I have ready to put on. And we'll go from there. So I just wanted to let you know that you're going to need to stand by and make sure you're going to see the next video where we put together more parts on the old 96. But not today. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, as a matter of fact.